Okay, so it's time for a progress report on this 50BMG stuff. And it's morphed into something more than it started out to be. You know, it's funny, but in every endeavor that I've ever taken on, there's always a phrase, go big or go home. And being a kid that grew up without money, I've always been, to me, and this phrase means two distinctly different things. I took it to mean when I was younger that if you're going to go buy a race car, get a big race car, get a big block. If you're going to buy a boat, buy the biggest one. If you're going to buy a whatever it is, you know, people around me buying stuff from lawnmowers to motorhomes. And my rejoinder was always, well, I can't afford to go big. But I was also raised by a father who said, and I do live by this mantra, if a thing is worth doing, it's worth doing right. That's another way of saying go big or go home. When I say this 50BMG project has morphed into something more than it started to be, it's kind of like all the other things on here. I started this channel to show a certain way of barreling rifles. Then I thought, hey, this would be fun. Let me build a rifle and go shoot it. Well, I ended up building 7 rifles, and they're still waiting for the weather to clear so that I can go do some of the shooting. I've got 5 or 6 different route trails gonna converge in the next few years. So this 50BMG project started out as a way to salvage a Noreen rifle that I bought, fully knowing that it couldn't shoot, but I wanted it for the action. Then since then, a company called East Ridge / State Arms came out with a smaller action. And I had looked into all of the other offerings like Macmillan and Bat and what have you. And I'd never been enticed to even try this 50B, but it's been on the back burner for a long time. So I decided to go ahead and put together my empty State Arms. Then I decided, well, once I'm doing that, I might as well, and that's when I started. I had a State Arms action, and I thought, well, I'm going to throw together something and test that State Arms action and see if I can reach 15. First of all, I didn't even know at this point if I could build a stock that would fit into my mythical, come out of the air 15-pound weight restriction. So I did what I call this minimalist thing. And I have gotten a hold of State Arms. This has become the 3rd in my series. This is the thing that started my series, and I inletted it and I set it up for a State Arms action. And this was to find out proof of concept with found material in my garbage bin, in my steel pile, by no means a garbage bin. Can I put together an action that proportionally works? The reason I'm standing back here and holding it to show you, this is not a small stock. This is a big dog. Okay? So, I got to this point and I said, okay, boom, the project is worth doing. So I bought a big hunk of aluminum and I started whittling to put together a stock for my Noreen action. What happened then was the project started to morph. Now, this barrel is only 24 inches long. This is why I could stand back and even get it into the frame. Just going to roll this thing around. This is the Noreen action. And once I'm doing it, I'm going to test a bunch of things. I didn't even buy this hunk of aluminum until I had established by building that skeletonized thing that yes, I can make my weight parameter. Then I went out and then the cheapest way to buy the aluminum was to buy a chunk that was twice this big. Which leaves me with 2 actions, one going to go in there and this one. And I still got a hunk of aluminum. So when I say if a thing's worth doing, it's worth doing right, I decided to do this justice, I need to do all 3 concepts parallel. In the same way that I just recently approached my bolt-in PPC deal. I got a problem. What we're trying to do is get a bolt-in PPC to work like a glue-in, which is the standard of the industry. And I feel that at this point we've brought that paradigm far enough forward that I can consider it to be proven, because I can easily build a bolt-in that shoots just as well, not as cheaply. If I were putting together a bench rest action for somebody, into a bench rest stock to build a competitive bench rest rifle, the cheapest way to do it is to glue it in. So we established that's another line of inquiry. In the meantime, I figured to really accelerate my stock flex issues, my ideas regarding stock flex and the things, figured it was worthy to go ahead and build an aluminum stock for this Noreen. And I knew that I had certain things that I had to approach. Number one, I wanted to build a stock that was stout enough in the middle that when the action does its thing that I keep talking about and in a sense testing and proving, this area has to be thick and resistive and then taper down and taper down. This doesn't exactly taper down, this is still heavy, but I'm going to drill a whole bunch more lightning holes in it. This is a concept still. This is my second concept, and the things I wanted was, I need a catch up here so that I can pull this, boy this is stiff, pull this bolt out and leave it laying right here. This is a groove in here that's going to be a catchment so that I fired a lot of rifles with no bolt stop in them, and I tend to throw the bolt right out into the weeds. So this is going to be, because to get a lightweight, not so much a cheap, but a lightweight system, the only way to do it is this removable bolt scenario. I saved 7 or 8 pounds doing this. First thing in the paradigm was to get it down to a usable weight so I carry it through the woods. This is still too heavy, but this stock is still at 10 or 12 pounds. Got a lot of weight I can remove in this stock. This is a kludgy action. I need to get a firing assembly for it so I can play with handoff, but otherwise I'm going to go after this and smooth it up. Hopefully get it to work. I've done that with my State Arms and it's now handing off like a dream. It's smooth. But I'm holding this up to show the salient points. Thick in here. And these are ways of testing some of the things that I've been testing throughout the whole series. The series started with timing barrels and whether or not there's something to be said for that. I believe there is. Maybe I've convinced someone, maybe I haven't. Then the concept of stock stiffness, repeatability. My idea is, first of all, one of the things that I've shown and one of the things I'm going to hammer home again is, if your gun is capable of shooting big groups, it's broken. A good gun is not capable of shooting big groups. A good hunting rifle is not capable of shooting over half to 3/4 minute, and it needs to be tunable down to 1/4 minute. I expect these, one of my paradigms here is that it must be capable of 1/4 minute, which means that it must be completely incapable of shooting bigger than half minute. And that's kind of where I'm at. That's what's driving. I don't even know where my phone is, but it's ringing, but it's going to have to. I'm going to shut it off. Sorry, I go into these and I just kind of slobber my way along, and that's the way it is. But I'm at a point where I've decided I kind of need to go big or go home. To do the project justice, I have to order another action. I've been trying for 2 months to get a hold of a third action. Now the reason I can do this is because I am an 07 licensed 07 FFL dealer. I build stuff, I do my experiments, and then I can turn around and sell it. I've already got all 3 of these 50 BMGs sold if I just build them. Whether they work or not doesn't matter. That frees me up to where my go big or go home can be rephrased to, if a test is worth doing, it's worth doing well. So to do it well, I first set up 3 challenges. 15 pounds, 1/4 minute accuracy are the ones that we're talking about right now. I found the 15 pounds with that mock together stock, which led me into buying this big hunk of aluminum and milling out, and I justified it by doing the Noreen, and I set this up as a bench rest gun, which means I need a keel. Now understand, I have no pride whatsoever, so I'm showing these things in all the various stages of building because it looks like dog, all right? But I don't care. Showing you a finished product doesn't do anything for my channel. I want to show you that you can do stuff. I am about driving the industry forward and saying, you want to experiment? Go freaking experiment, people. Go do something. Don't just presume that there's smart people out there and you're not one of them and you got to do this and you got to do that. No, this is a hunk of hardware store aluminum. I figured out a way to carve. This stuff here, this refacing, in the mill I did this just to square it up for reasons totally unrelated to the product. And now I'm going to sandblast and get rid of all this funny looking swirls, this and that. But I'm still in the process of, I decided I wanted this machined trigger guard on this one because I was worried about running out of strength in here for flex. Turns out I didn't. I have my thickness through here. So I may or may not continue with this machine trigger guard, but in the meantime I haven't ever finished this out. So I'm rolling this thing around to show you the form. Now this is down to about 30 pounds. This is about where a normal gun, and this is the epiphany that I had the other day. My buddy Rodney's been looking out for me for over 50 years. I grew up with him, all right? He's a good friend, a good buddy, and he's been setting me straight for a long, long time. And I'm out on the mill and I'm trying to make these decisions. How do I cut this pistol grip in? Because in a prior episode I show how I cut this. How did I mash and form all of this stuff? And I bought a tool that did it. And as I go, when you're doing something completely from scratch, the hard part is to hit all your set points right and get everything to work. And I realized as I'm out here fiddling with this, I heard my friend Rodney thundering in the back of my mind, saying, it's time to make it functionable. And that's where we're at right now. I brought this one up to the point where, before I do the fit and the finish, it's functionable. It's ready to start shooting. So I'm going to bolt this guy together and take it out and shoot it. And I had the other action that I showed in the other stock, and I was going to go forward with that, but in the meantime I had this other hunk of aluminum, and I decided to go another way, and I'm building number 3. This one is not nearly as far along. It hasn't even been squared up or faced off yet. All I did was inletted this state arms action. And then I whittled away, and I wanted to show you, this is the part. I did this with something called they call it a double cut saw, but it's a saw with counter rotating carbide blades. And whittling this out, getting this shape, and getting it up to the point where I could test it for functionability. To get my fits, can I reach the trigger? Is this going to come back and bash my finger? Do I have the clearance? Does the bolt handle clear? Make it functionable. As I said, my buddy is thundering in my head. Dude, you're getting ahead of yourself. So I did the same thing with this. I made it functionable. So before I lighten this, before I go through and put my barrel shrouds and everything on, I've got to test these big muzzle brakes. Are these going to be the thing? Is this muzzle brake going to hold down a 15-pound rifle to not hurt me, and also to allow me to make my accuracy potential? So I've done that, and I figured it's time to show you where I'm at, because form follows function. And as a person who doesn't have a pride of look, I wanted to show you the formation, as I said, bring you up to speed. Because I think it's hoovis to do that, because my channel has turned into a kind of a documentation of my weird stuff. Whether anybody watches it or not, it's immaterial to me. It might be my kids after I'm dead. It might be me 10 years from now. It's a way of documenting my progress and clearly showing you you can do this. Whittling on aluminum, I've shown in a prior video, is something that can be done. Now, during that video, I indicated that I had done the stuff prior with just goggles and I'd done it a certain way. I will state now that after having done a second one, and I did this one fast, this is one that you have never seen before. Any of the video that was from before was from a different hunk of metal, because I've got two different ones that are whittled out similarly. The one I took and threw on the mill and put a keel on, you can see that keel, and a lightning area through the stock, and I was moving forward with all of this. I was going to lighten. I went, whoa, 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 whoa. Listen to the voice of experience. Make it functionable. Make it functional now. Get out. And then we might find reasons to stop the whole project. So this one is basically up and ready to go. That one's basically up and ready to go. And the fellow that makes these actions has gotten back to me now. So I think I'm going to be able to get another one coming for that. And we should be able to go head to head with this stuff. Before I go, because this is just the rough-in. This is like getting a house foundation and framing into where the house is dried in, and then all the finish work starts. Basically, these are dried in. A person could live in that house, but it's not going to be super comfortable. Well, these are hard to carry. They're gnashing at my fingers. Their corners aren't rounded off. There's a lot of things, but they are, at this point, functional. So I'm going to be able to go back and forth. I'm going to be able to go shoot, take off weight, shoot, take off weight. And I figured that just in the interest of, number one, passing on, please guys, go do this kind of stuff. Feel free to go out and get your feet wet. Go down to Harbor Freight and buy one of these counter-rotating cross-cut saws and have at it. I mean, you can do this. But, as I was starting to say, the one thing that's changed since my prior video, I will say, the only reason I didn't use face shields the first time and instead I used goggles is because you can't even get them because of the Rona. And they're all sold out. Oh, we don't have any people. So I finally went to another store and I bought a bunch of, wear a face shield, a cover, and a coverall. Because going fast and going after one and whittling one out quick like this, the face shield is really a lifesaver. The gloves, the face shield, the stomp switch I talked about, you must have a stomp switch. Don't try to turn one of these on and go in. You'll eat your own face right off. And believe me, those counter-rotating gnashers are scary little dudes. And then it'll cut aluminum like that. I haven't tested this, and I'm not going to test this, but I have a hunch that if it rubbed up against the beauty of my face, it wouldn't even know it was there, and it would just take it apart right down to the bone. So, let's just say, safety geek. I am the safety geek. So, face shield is to keep that junk. It turns out that when you get crazier and start just really free-banging with this thing, you get stuff inside your stuff. It throws stuff up your nose and out your ears. So, face shield, gloves, comfortable working position like I said, but if for any reason you've got reason to take a hunk of aluminum, I keep looking down here and I'm sorry, I'm supposed to be looking at the camera, I'm looking down at my hunk of aluminum and I'm saying if you want to try this, get out there and do it. Get out. I'm old, I'm on the backside of 50 as they say in the songs, but this is to everybody out there. Die with adventures, not dreams. What that means is, in the bigger picture, just like go big or go home, that means dream, but act on those dreams. People act on them, get some stuff, the only thing holding us back in many times from acting on a thing is, well, I couldn't do that. Well, that's just false. That's just simply not true. You can act on a thing, as long as you're given direction of some sort. And I'm saying that these videos have morphed into something completely different. Kind of to give direction, kind of to say, hey, there are no smart people in the world. There's just normal people. There's just people like me, people like everybody else. Get out there, give it a go. The hardest thing I learned when I got into construction was who to ask and how to ask. And I would like to say that's the tenor of what I'm putting out here. Find out who to ask, and find out what questions to ask, and to learn that you got to go do stuff. So by all means, I'm not only freeing you up to go do stuff, I'm just saying, people, go do stuff, and if you put it up on a board somewhere, live life. When I say a board, I mean like a, I don't know, a conversation board, a forum, a YouTube channel, whatever. I'm here to stimulate the experimentation. Go try stuff. I came right out of the blue to try this stuff out and figured out some of it myself, asked some questions, got some good feedback, and I'm just passing that feedback on. And I'm saying, back to what I said a minute ago, die with adventures, man. Get her out, get her done. We'll see you on the next episode.